on this episode of the Sorority Chat podcast.
To really start living a life that's beautiful as defined by you, you've got to stop being busy. You've got to quiet the noise and just really get inside your own body and soul and mind and think about what you want your life to feel like, not look like. It's almost like without the first two, sometimes you can't get to the third.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Sorority Chat. I'm Liz Toombs, a designer and sorority alum who's obsessed with all things Greek life. My mission? To bring you real conversations, smart insights, and fun stories that help make sorority living even better. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's chat. Sorority Chatters, welcome back. This week joining me is somebody whose story is what I think is the perfect mix of hustle, heart, and big pivots. We've got Bailie White with us. She grew up just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, went to college at Western Kentucky University, which is in Bowling Green, not terribly far over the state line, where she was in 80 Pi. And right after college, she leaped into entrepreneurship, but quickly realized afterwards that her rockstar business really didn't feel like her dream anymore. So she scaled it, sold it, and now she speaks to college women about building a life that's beautiful by their definition. And I'm so excited for her to come on and talk about that today. Welcome, Bailie.
Yay, thank you so much. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. I've really enjoyed watching what you put out on Instagram and the content that you go to campuses and speak about. And I love your podcast. I didn't even mention that. Your Brand of Beautiful. You host a podcast as well.
I do. It's so much fun. I just love getting to do all of this stuff and chat with people like you too and connect online and all the good stuff.
I know. It's really been kind of an unexpected positive for me with Instagram. I used to have a very much a love-hate relationship with social media. I used to feel like it was just a lot of weird voyeurism. And now I'm like seeing the benefit of how it's networking on a larger scale. And that's always been something I've done in my business. And so I'm kind of looking at it through a different lens and really enjoying it.
Yeah, that's actually such a good way to put it. It's networking on a larger scale because I have so many friends in business and speaking and all of that I've never met in real life, but we're friends on Instagram or online. And that's just so cool.
Yeah, networking on a larger scale online is just, it's cool. You know, my business, like yours, is really national because we can go anywhere to do our work. And so we aren't really bound by city limits or state lines. We can connect with folks all over in similar complementary industries, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's the coolest ever.
It is. It is. Okay, so let's back up because I think your story of like the pivot into speaker world is really interesting. And I think it's valuable for students to hear because I think when we go to college, we tend to feel like we have this very linear path. And so you pick a major, you get your degree, you go and you do this career. And sometimes it's not the right fit or sometimes things change and you do pivot and make changes, but we're not always adequately prepared for what that looks like. So talk about this business you launched after college, what it felt like, and kind of the early days of what that was.
Oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts. And exactly everything that you just said is a lot of what I speak about with college women because, you know, like all through school, even elementary, middle, high, and then you get into college and you're given a syllabus and there's a plan and there's a structure. And then you hit the graduation stage and it's like, oh, there's no rule book anymore. Nobody's here to tell me what my next step is. Like there is no more plan. You're the plan. You get to make the plan. And as you can probably remember, where did you go to school?
I went to the University of Kentucky in Lexington. So not terribly far from you.
Not terribly far. So I have a lot of friends that are UK fans. But so yeah, you hit that moment a lot quicker than you think you will. Even when I'm speaking to, I have a P&M program that I do too. So I'll go and I'll speak during recruitment week to all the potential new members going through Rush. And I'm like, I know this makes me sound so old, but this is going to happen so quickly. You'll have no idea. You are going to blink twice and you're going to hit the graduation stage. And then it's go time. Like you go out into the world or maybe you go and do further education. But either way, you know, it's this moment that we've never experienced before in our entire lives. And I do think that while college is great for higher education and preparing and all those things, I think that a lot of times women and students are taught a lot of what to think and not how to think. And so I just love to go in and speak with women and have that conversation of like, okay, let's think about your future. Let's think about what you actually want your life to feel like, not just what you think is going to look good on LinkedIn or social media or what your parents want you to do or the major that you committed to 2 years ago and you're really not feeling it anymore. And so like, what does that mean? And so we just have all of those conversations. I was a public relations major and I loved it. What'd you study?
Merchandising, apparel, and textiles. So really getting into the tactical content of materials.
Cool. So you definitely still use that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very much an adjacent degree, I guess, to where I landed.
I was a public relations major. And so I definitely use a lot of what I learned, through my major from school. I dove into entrepreneurship pretty much right outside of college. I spent some time in a cubicle just like trying to figure my life out, as a lot of postgrads do. Once I got into entrepreneurship, I started this company. And it really took off. It was a rocket ship of success. I just kind of held on tight. And it was a really neat experience. And I learned a lot about myself and business and leadership and all of those things. But it turns out that dream didn't necessarily fit into how I wanted my life to actually look and feel, like on an everyday basis. And so I went through, that really tough time of having to unwind a little bit and climb and stumble back down a mountain that I had climbed up. And just obviously a lot of reflective moments came from that. And so a lot of that inspiration is what I draw from when I'm speaking to college women about just, creating a life that's beautiful as defined by you, not necessarily one that's influenced by the world around us.
Yeah, I think that's valuable. And I think the best speakers bring that kind of personal experience and can really draw from that and help educate students or people who maybe haven't hit that stage yet in life and kind of help them prepare. And I think, I don't know how you feel about it, but I know that's why I like to mentor students, because I recognize the things that I lacked at certain points, their age and at those stages in college. And I'm like, well, if I could help you avoid pitfalls that I ran into or mistakes that I made, then I'm, kind of helping you with a leg up. And so I would say that there's a lot of that on your end too.
Oh yeah, for sure. And on an official like mentor scale, and also, just in the passing conversations after I speak with the sorority and get to spend 20 minutes just chit-chatting with the girls. And there's so much in those sweet little conversations that reminds you of things that you used to be challenged by or ways that you wish you could go back and advise your past self. And it is a very rewarding experience, and you feel like you're actually going and making a difference.
Yeah, I would say so. So you talked about your business and it just didn't really fit what you wanted your life to look like. It was a travel business, correct?
Yeah, it was a full service luxury travel agency.
Okay. What were the signs for you that, hey, I've built something that doesn't really work with the life that I want? Like, what were kind of those red flags that popped up?
There was a lot of them. One memory specifically that always comes to mind is because it was a travel agency and we booked travel all around the world, there was no set office hours. So, it's not even just like we were in Central Time or Eastern Time. It's like around the world at any given moment is somebody's working hours. And so you almost had to be available all around the clock. And when your clients were traveling, if you had, your American clients over in Italy and they needed you, it's like a completely different time zone. It was crazy. So I remember very specifically trying to give my daughter a bath one time when she was really little. And it was like bath time, bedtime, which is chaos a lot of the times. But I had like phone calls from Italy that kept coming in. And I was like, I can't do this. This doesn't make sense. That was definitely one of the moments. Another like really big telltale sign for me was I grew the business to a place where we started working with some celebrities. And that was really cool. And I was excited about it. And I learned the more I got into it that, and I'm trying to like be selective with my words here, not say anything that I'm not supposed to.
Sure.
But maybe one of the best parts of working with celebrities is to say that you were working with celebrities, or when they shouted you out on Instagram, when really behind the scenes, I was miserable. Like I was so nervous. I remember specifically one of our clients was an NFL player, and his girlfriend at the time, he had booked her a 30th birthday party trip for like all of her friends. And these were all like other NFL wives or girlfriends or influencers and stuff. And they had all gone to the Four Seasons. I don't remember. It was somewhere in Mexico. And I was a nervous wreck the entire trip. I was just like on edge. And I was like, oh, what if they need me? Da, da, da. And my husband was like, they're humans too. Like you can relax, you know, like it's okay at the end of the day. And I just put so much pressure on myself. It wasn't fun. It was fun to say, ooh, we worked with celebrities or, you know, all of that. But all I cared about was that outside appearance. On the inside, it did not feel good. It was stressful. I lost sleep. And that was a really big sign of, oh, I'm doing this for the way that it looks, not the way that it feels. And I think that's always a really big sign in your life that you've got to pay attention to. That's a huge red flag.
Yeah, I agree fully. And there is so much goodness in you sharing that, which is why I asked what the red flags were, because I think especially in the social media driven world that we live in, like, yeah, it could look great on Instagram. It could be really cool on TikTok. But if it's not vibing with the life that you want, then it's really not something that you should pursue. And you do sometimes end up feeling empty building something that you thought was like the epitome of what you wanted. And sometimes you just have to back up.
100%. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of people that get stuck in that and they don't pay attention to those signs and they just get stuck in that cycle. And a year goes by, 2 years go by, 5 years go by, and they wake up one day and they are just blown away by where they are in life. And they can't imagine how they got there. And it's like, well, you were heading that direction the whole time. You just didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, I think sometimes fear just paralyzes us in those moments too. You don't know what to do, so you do nothing to change it. And then you're, like you said, you just wake up one day and you're like, oh, Okay, so you sold the business. You were like, all right, this isn't for me. I'm selling the business. What was the like aha moment? I want to go and speak to college students. I want to be a speaker and help folks.
I never really had one big aha moment about getting into speaking. It was more so with the sale of the company. I had bought myself some time just to figure it out. And so I just sat with that, you know, like I gave myself the permission to be quiet and still and make my world small and just get really internal, you know what I mean? And really just think through what was going to be next for me. And I gave it a lot of thought and a lot of reflection. And I had a few people in my life speak little words of encouragement about speaking. And I gave it a go. I took an online course and learned how to write a keynote and just did it really slow and steady and poured my heart into it. And one thing led to another. And here I am today.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I appreciate you highlighting the slow and steady part of it, because I saw a quote, and I may butcher it, but it was effectively like that overnight success took years. You know, it was years in the making. And so all of a sudden, you know, you appear on the scene to people, but they don't see all the work that you've put in the background to get you to that point. And that's what you're talking about, is in that kind of gap that you had, you were educating and learning and kind of exploring things. And then now here you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I went through a season like that myself over the past few years. I had gotten divorced and just was really sort of changing things up. I've now relocated and just I kind of went dormant in a lot of ways, personally and even in the business, and just explored what did I want my life to look like. And I found a lot of value in that slowing down and that close examination.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things that I teach through my speaking is the Your Brain Beautiful method. And it's to stop being busy, quiet the noise, and then start being you. And it's almost like without the first two, sometimes you can't get to the third. To really start living a life that's beautiful as defined by you, you've got to stop being busy. You've got to quiet the noise and just really get inside your own body and soul and mind and think about what you want your life to feel like, not look like.
Exactly. I remember I was listening to your podcast, and when you were sharing that, I was like, oh, so like it's such a simplification of what exactly needs to happen. And I really appreciated those words and just those 3 steps.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. I wanted to try to communicate something that was so easy to remember. It's not always as easy in practice when you think, you know, it sounds easy. It's like, okay, I'll just stop being busy and I'll quiet the noise. But actually putting that into practice does take intentionality, but it always serves you on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm. And interesting because once you've done it, so like I said, kind of took a season, just examined everything. Now I'm back in sort of what I would call like a growth season. And I have to stop every now and then and kind of think about that stop being busy. Like, oh, am I packing my schedule and just getting a calendar that's too heavy and getting right back into the things that I don't want? Or like, should I be more intentional about what I invite back into my life? Or should I phase out how I'm approaching projects so that I'm not overwhelmed?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you have to be very mindful of it.
Mm-hmm. What influenced you to create your own brand of beautiful and those steps? Was there anything in your life that really inspired it?
Do you mean like inspired the name or
inspired the concept? Like what really led you to make that your keynote and that your method that you teach? Obviously you shared about your business building and selling. I just didn't know if there were any other things in your life that really culminated to create this.
Yeah, I think just in thinking back to my entire story and really trying to find myself and creating the business and climbing the mountain of success and then looking around and realizing possibly I've climbed the wrong mountain and then stumbling back down the mountain and all that I learned through, getting from point A to point B to C and goal setting and all of that. I was like, how do I sum this up in a way that would resonate, especially with young women? And I was thinking back to a time in college. Actually, I was doing a PR internship, and there was this guy, and he was, were we juniors or seniors? I don't know. We were making resumes, and he was just all wrapped up in what his personal brand was going to be, and like the fonts and the colors and what does it say? And I remember him just like obsessing over this for weeks. And that always stuck with me because that was really the first time that I was like, what do you mean like your own brand? And thinking back to that memory and just remembering how obsessive he was, I know that's such a simple thing, but it's sometimes those moments that always stick with you. Is I'm just like, what if he had cared more about the content and like the meat of it and what everything actually felt like and would look like on a day in and day out basis, and what is your life going to look like on a normal Tuesday? And then you go from there instead of focusing on the outward appearance of it and the optics and what does this say about me, and being influenced by so much of the outside world, like all of social media and society and teachers and coaches and your sorority sisters. And there's just so much influence that we care so much about like the exterior of things. And so that's when I kind of started to think, no, like what is your brand of beautiful? What is your unique version? Doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense to anybody else. What is your version of a beautiful life? And that's kind of where it came from. But then when I got into my podcasting, how have you loved the podcasting experience as a whole?
I have enjoyed it very much, but I could talk to a wall and really love my day. And so it's been so great to connect with other people. Like I get really inspired by hearing other entrepreneurs' journeys, creative people, sorority, how it like shows up later in life. And so it's been a huge cup filler for me personally. How have you liked it?
The same thing. So I went into it and I was like, well, I'll call it the Your Brand Beautiful podcast. And I kind of wanted it to be like the How I Built This podcast, but for women who just like lived, really cool lives and had these great stories. And when I got into it, I was like, oh, all of these women's stories are so different from mine. I got into entrepreneurship. I founded a luxury travel agency. I sold it. Now I'm into speaking, and today I'm doing other things as well. But, that was my story. And then I would talk to somebody that was an Olympic athlete. And then I would talk to a woman who cut hair in her kitchen and was also a mom. And then I talked to somebody that was a country music artist and does the red carpets and has been on national television. And, all of these different stories. And a lot of the parts of their life, respectively, would not be my version of a beautiful life, right? Like, Olympic athlete, probably not. Like that's not my version of a beautiful life. However, all of our stories had these common threads. No matter how vastly different our lives looked, whatever their version of a beautiful life was, all of the stories had those common threads. And I was like, what is this? I was like, it's the Your Brand Beautiful method, because every single one of these women in pursuit of creating their own version of a beautiful life and figuring out their place in the world, and that moment of graduating and hitting the graduation stage and having that like, okay, well, now what, to where they are today, they all had to go through this process of stopping being busy, quiet the noise, and then they start being them. It's almost like you have to deprogram from all of the influence that we get in those college years and fresh out from college graduation. Like, we're so influenced at that time. And I just want to call attention to that. Like, I want to bring that awareness to young women of like, be careful with how much you're being influenced, because you don't even realize it. And you've got to go through that process of stop being busy, quiet the noise, and then start being you. And they're not teaching that in school.
No. I taught a soft skills class at UK a while back, and it was the same concept as what you're talking about, right? They teach you your craft, but they don't really teach you the other things that can support it and make you successful. And so just like you're saying, what you're teaching is necessary and valuable and gives you kind of a leg up in life the earlier that you can learn it.
Right. And that's the whole thing too. It's like, man, if I had somebody come and speak to me when I was a freshman in college, sophomore, junior, senior, oh my gosh, I don't know what my life would look like. I just wish that I could have learned these lessons so much earlier.
Yep, I know. And that is another cool part of social, is that we have access to this information. And so now you can connect with people and get this guidance, but you have to also be discerning enough to know what to cut out and not to pay attention to.
Right, exactly.
Because it can get very, very muddied, I think, in your mind.
No, for sure. Absolutely.
So how would you describe your brand of beautiful then? You talked about these other people that have been on the show, but like, what is Bailey's brand of beautiful?
So right now we're in this fun season of life with little kids. So my life is really revolves around them in a really good way. I think that motherhood is one of the most beautiful callings, and I'm loving it. And when you're wired in an entrepreneurial way, you can't exactly just turn that off. Like, that's not a switch that you get to turn on and off. And so I definitely still have that in me, but I had to figure out a way to pursue those passions, use those gifts in a way that also made sense for the motherhood piece in my life.
Yeah.
And not just the motherhood piece, but, you know, I want to be a good friend. My girlfriends are really important to me. I want to be a great wife. I want to have a relationship with my parents. And so there's all these things that are non-negotiables in my life. And so I wanted to figure out a way to fit entrepreneurship in with them in a way that felt good. Not just that looked good, but that felt good and actually worked on behind the scenes, so that when I get up on a random, today's Thursday, I'm pumped about my day because I woke up this morning and I took the kids to school and I got to like wake up slow with them and snuggle with my little boy in bed, drop him off at school. And then I did a little bit of work before a breakfast meeting with she's actually a intellectual property attorney in Savannah. And so I met with her and we had like a little working breakfast. And then I came and I'm recording this with you. And later I'm going to meet with this charity in Savannah because I'm hosting an event, like a fundraising event. And so it's just like every single day looks different. And that is my brand of beautiful. Like, I love that. And then in a more like practical sense, we live in Savannah, Georgia, which we're originally from Nashville. And so this move has just been so great for us. And we love living here and being on the water and getting to go to the beach and be on the marsh. And now we're adding in a whole other like section of entrepreneurship to our family household too, and launching a short-term rental property business. And so there's just like a lot going on, and I love it because I've been very selective with what I put onto my plate to make sure that nothing feels like too much of a burden.
Yeah, I love that. And it's just creating a life that you love. And like sometimes it might feel hectic and sometimes it's fulfilling, and you're just sort of going with the flow of everything that you're inviting in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was a huge lesson that I had to learn because, you know, on my phone, I have a list of 1 million ideas of businesses and things I'd like to pursue. And, ooh, wouldn't this be cool? And sometimes I'll even buy the domains. But you have to be very intentional about, you know, what you take on so that nothing, you know, becomes a burden.
Yes, I agree. And one of the things I've learned from my business coach is like, look, 12, 24, 36 months out and sort of plug in. You don't have to do everything right now. It can be like, oh, I'm going to start this. Let's see how it goes. And then we can introduce this new thing at this point and just always like change it around based on what's going on. And so I'm learning to not hold so tightly to certain things, but to continue to explore ideas like you're talking about.
Exactly. And I teach a lot of that too. I also lead a goal setting workshop for sororities as well and entrepreneurs and creatives. But that's a lot of what we talk about is kind of, looking out into the next 5 years and then breaking it into the next 1 year into quarters and just like kind of like plugging it in and just really thinking through logistically. You have these big dreams. Okay, where do they fit? And figuring out how to make an actual plan rather than just like sitting with all these ideas swirling in your head and feeling overwhelmed by them.
Yeah, because it's like you bring everything in and then you're overwhelmed and you just say like, get it out, never mind, I'm done. And this way you're not just wishing and hoping, you're planning.
Right, exactly.
Let's talk about the short-term rental business for a second, because I am super into this journey for you. Like I love following along. Y'all have just bought like a beachside condo, correct?
Yes, we bought a beachfront condo in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. The cool thing about living in Savannah is that we are within an hour's driving distance from so many like little islands and beach towns and stuff like that. And I knew when I left the travel industry that there was a part of me that would want to pursue some sort of hospitality again in the future, just in a much different capacity. So this has been a dream of ours for a while, and we are finally doing it. We finally pulled the trigger, and we just bought our first one, and it's a total gut. Like it's a total fixer-upper. But we flipped a house before, and so we're like familiar enough to get the job done. And then we're hiring a general contractor to do a lot of the work too. But yeah, it's been fun. I'm an open book. I'm still learning so much about the entire process. And that's been cool too, to like learn a bunch of new skills and a new way of business and all of those things. And I hope that it's successful. I can't wait to get it like up and running and out and rented.
Yeah. What's your timeline? When will it be ready to be rented?
So he opened up, we did demo the last couple weeks, and then our general contractor got in there this week and officially started, with his side of things. And we'll see. I mean, how stuff like that goes, but we're thinking like 4 to 6 weeks will be, because it's really small. It's like 540 square feet, just 1 bedroom, kitchen, living room, bathroom, beachfront, Hilton Head. It's just like, it's going to be super cute. The location and everything is perfect. And that's the part that you can't renovate. And so that's why we went with that one.
I remember you had shared it was like watching House Hunters on your Instagram, and you had shared these different properties, and I was like, do that one. But also that was selfish because I love a good like reno. And so I was like, I just want to see you make this place over and make it your own. And the fact that it was beachfront was obviously super a big plus there.
Right, exactly. It's been fun to share things on social media. That's something that I've grown in, I think, over the years, is you can share things in the middle too. Like, a lot of people want to share just the finished product and come out and say, oh, this is our really nice condo that we have. But I was like, I'm going to show the part where it looks like garbage. Like I'm going to show the part where it needs a lot of work and share in the experience and bring people along in the journey too. Because that's the real stuff. Like that's where people actually can learn and get inspired and say, you know what, I think I could do that too. So I've been trying to do a better job about sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly with the whole rental process. You can follow along too if you're listening to this. We're Tied in Table Collection on Instagram. It's been fun.
Yeah, I like that. I am also learning to kind of show the process more than just the finished product. Being in design, we are used to presenting a very polished, professional appearance out there. And now I think social's really favoring and people are enjoying seeing the real life side of things. And so making that shift has been fun, but it's just been like a mindset change for me too. And I am working on a new construction house, just a spec house to build and sell myself. And so that's been kind of a dream of mine for a while, and we're finally getting started. And so I'm really excited. I shared about it the other day because I was like, we're in what I consider the boring part, which is just like pour the foundation, frame it, like tell me what you want to hear, because I'm like ready to dig into the selections and making it cute.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's so many like hoops that you have to jump through that are so not fun, and the legal side of it and the contracts and the negotiating and None of that is fun to me.
Nope.
But now we're into the part where we're picking out hardwares and hardwood floors and doing some tile selections and looking at furniture. So it's like, it's starting to get fun.
Yeah, that's the like, ooh, you could start to see it, touch it, feel it, and like imagine what you're creating for your guests.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure you know all about that excitement. Like that's so fun that you get to, oh my gosh, do stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, it is. Like that's my like hits of dopamine, right? Is those fun creations and the shopping and pulling it all together for folks.
Right, exactly.
So if you could give your college self when you were graduating one piece of advice, what would you say?
I always say I would give myself the Your Brand Beautiful method. Like just when life starts to feel overwhelming or not your own or out of control or you feel confused or lost or lacking direction, the Your Brand Beautiful method truly is a saving grace in times like that. And it will help ground you and center you and bring you back to you and help you find your own direction and one that's true and authentic to you. And so that truly is the piece of advice that I would give to myself in college.
Yeah, I think that's good. So we know you're working on the short-term rentals, but what's next for Bailie White, the speaker? Like what's on the horizon there?
So it's funny, I told you I was just at breakfast with just another creative entrepreneur in Savannah. This morning we were talking about 2026. And I really just think that 2026 is going to be the year for me to nurture and love on and strengthen all of the things that I already have in the works. Because the past couple of years have been for new things, new speaking programs added to my collection or adding short-term rental host to my list of things that I do. And so next year, I really just want to continue to go and speak to sorority women, get involved in chapters and speak at conferences and continue to give my P&M program and the goal setting workshop and teach the Your Brand Beautiful method to young sorority women. And that would just be awesome to do that alongside the short-term rental business and just keep going, like nothing crazy. Like I just want to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yes. Again, so much value in that. It doesn't always have to be a new mountaintop. It can be just continuing to forge ahead with what you've already built and just see where it goes.
Exactly. Nothing crazy. We're not reinventing any wheels here. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And I'm excited about that.
Well, that's good. If people want to connect with you to learn about your programs and then bring you to their campus, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram. That's really the only social media that I do. It's at Hey Bailie White. And my name's spelled kind of funny. It's Bailie. And then you can also go to bailiewhite.com, Balie white.com. And you can get my podcast and my speaking and on all of the info on me. And I'd love to, come chat with anybody that's listening. I'm always looking for other sororities that I can connect with and come speak to and love on and encourage and motivate and all the good stuff.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we have all that stuff in the show notes too, so they catch your name spelling and the link to the podcast and all of that. Thank you so much for coming on, Bailie, and talking about your brand of beautiful. I really enjoyed getting to connect with you today.
I know, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Welcome to Liz's House Hot Takes. This is where I take the lessons I've learned over the last 16 years of designing Greek houses and offer you my pro tips. Here's today's House Hot Take. Install days aren't just about moving furniture. It's about styling, art placement, window treatments, and even tech setup. That means your cords get tucked away, the pillows are fluffed, and rugs are laid down straight. Designers are typically the last people to be in the house before the women move in. The construction gets finished, a deep clean occurs, and then the magic happens. Help your designer carve out 2 to 3 full days in the house before you let anyone else in. It's the difference between getting done and photo ready. Thanks for listening to another House Hot Take. For more inspiration, check out the PDR Interiors Instagram or TikTok. I'm Liz Toombs, and this is the Sorority Chat podcast. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you got something out of today's conversation, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out this video right here or this one over here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. On that note, I'm Liz Toombs with Sorority Chat, and I'll see you on the next one. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry for Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Liz Toombs.